Hi, everybody. Today's Thursday, August 14th, 2025, and our friend Andrei Martyanov is back with us. Welcome, Andrei.
My pleasure. And you, for some reason, kind of broke up. Oh, okay. Do you hear me? Oh, okay. There's something going on. You are frozen. Hmm. Okay. We got Nima frozen. Hello.
Can you hear me, Andrei?
Yeah, I can hear you. And you were
Yeah, I,
frozen for
I don't
some.
know what has happened. There is something going on with the internet connection, but it seems,
Yeah.
yeah, we're back. Uh, Andrei, let's get started with what's going on right now, considering the meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. What we've learned so far on the part of the United States, we've learned that Donald Trump, together with J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, Scott Bessent, Secretary of Treasury,
Yes,
Steve
yes.
Witkoff, Special Envoy of Donald Trump, they're going to be in the meeting.
Sure.
And on the part of Russians, we've learned that they're going to be Lavrov, Ushakov, Volosov, and Siluanov,
Mm-hmm.
and Dmitriev.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to be to talk with. What the talks would happen? They're going to talk at 10:30 because I'm just mentioning these because I've learned them from Russian sources because you cannot find it in the
No, no.
mainstream
I mean,
media.
yeah,
There is nothing about it. That's why I'm gonna inform our audience
yeah.
what would happen.
Western
It would
media
be
are not media. They are propaganda machine, and most people who work there are just scumbags, and that's what it is.
yeah, it would be at 10:30 p.m. Moscow time, which would be at 3:30,
Well, 12:30.
yeah, Eastern
Yeah,
time, East Coast of the United States.
Eastern.
3:30,
Oh, yeah, 3:30. Yeah,
3:30 p.m. Yeah,
12:30. Yeah,
East
Seattle
Coast
time.
of
Yeah,
the United States.
yeah,
And it seems that they're going to talk. First of all, there is a meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin alone, one on
yeah,
one, and then the team going to join them.
yeah.
What is the feeling on the part of Russians so far from what they've heard from the Trump administration, from the media? I'm not talking about the mainstream media. They're playing their role, and somehow it's ridiculous for all of
Yeah.
us. But what is the main essence, what the main feeling to Russians before going to the meeting?
Not many high hopes, to put it mildly. Okay, Russians don't care, honestly. The fact that Mr. Belousov is in the delegation and who is the obviously Minister of Defense, he will be bringing the real number to demonstrate to Mr. Trump and numbers and Mr. Rubin and all of those people. So I mean, yeah, it's just even the media in United States, like ABC, for example, they are hedging everything because they understood they developed this, spin, so to speak, and it reached their absolutely hysterical pitch. And is that, yeah, it's going to be learning exercise. Well, I mean, listening exercise. Sure, let Trump listen. But the point is that Ukraine probably will be not even the main point on the agenda, especially when you think that Mr. Silvanov, the finance minister, and he's going to be explaining to Mr. Besant that no matter what he tries to do, it's going to be futile. And Russians obviously will roll out what they do yesterday. Russian Foreign Ministry officially stated again there is no negotiating of any kind of the exchange of the territories or something like that because all the new four oblasts, Zaporozhye, Kherson, obviously Donetsk and Lugansk, they are enshrined in the Russian constitution. So there is no talk. We're not going to be talking about this at all. So Mr. Trump already started suddenly talking to intangibles in a sense yesterday when during this pathetic meeting between Zelensky and Merz and a bunch of these clowns from Europe. So I mean, we'll see. It's the last off ramp probably for the United States when Russians, how to put it politely, Russians play the superpower game. Superpowers, they move in a different dimension, which I always said. And Mr. Putin stated today, just recently, like a few hours back, that depending on how whatever will be the conversation, we might go and discuss issues of the strategic weapons limitations treaty and nuclear weapons primarily. And so we'll see. I mean, I don't expect much. I expect just talk but Ukraine is not the main dish. The main dish is how United States and Russia will have to find the modus vivendi, especially against the background of which Mr. Orban yesterday stated openly, and I quote, "Russia has won the war in Ukraine," which it is. So it's just a matter of what Russians want, in exchange for not humiliating the United States completely. Europe is out of the question. They are nobodies.
Andrei, do you feel that Donald Trump would be somehow trying to, because if you go to talk with Russians, you have to get prepared in advance. You have to understand the reality. If we assume they don't know and they want to understand it, they want to get information from the Russian part, it's going to take time, Andrei. It's not going to be that much easy to, but they can give some sort of information that's superficial information. I think that's not going to get deep what's going on in Ukraine in a meeting between the two presidents. And we know Donald Trump, we know his behavior. He doesn't have that much of patience that we saw on the part of Vladimir Putin during his interview with Tucker Carlson. He was just revising, just explaining everything in a historical process, what has happened. I don't see that sort of patience in the president of the United States to listen to that. But how about the team? These people are going to communicate. I'm not talking about the two presidents. How do you see the capabilities of two teams communicating to each other?
Well, Mr. Besant is a nincompoop. He doesn't understand the first thing about economy. So he yesterday just stated that whatever they own, the currency resource of the Western countries, United States going to be treating it as the United States Wealth Fund. So it's just something really unbelievable. Why don't Mr. Besant, does he have a wife? Let him put his wife as everybody's, common wife for everybody else. But this is their level of the imbecile, essentially. And so, they can talk whatever they want. But in terms of Putin-Trump personal meeting, as Larry Johnson penned a couple of days ago, excellent piece. And he quoted the people who know Trump, who spoke to him. And Larry wrote that, they say that, in real life, he's nothing like his media persona. He's actually very insecure, which we know that. And he constantly, wants some kind of the reaffirmation of his own greatness, but in the same time being polite and secure. So Putin will play him as a fiddle, basically Trump doesn't have the background to go toe-to-toe with the former intelligence officer, especially with the intelligence background of the Soviet Union and Russia. So in this case, Putin is simply completely different league in this respect. So, but he probably will tell him that, Donnie, that's the last, the last bell, so to speak. And so we'll see where it goes. But it's natural that people create this, it's media hysteria, it's media spin, circus, everybody talks, everybody gets their input. And but what we saw, which did happen, it's a fait accompli. Europe was completely disconnected from this summit, which is a very interesting indication. He talked about them, but he also stated no guarantees from NATO to Ukraine. if anybody wants to guarantee something, go right ahead, So he definitely spoke a couple of really serious tangibles, which is really surprising for Trump, who always loves to, beat around the bush and speak all those, nonsense about like sanctions and tariffs, And as some people correctly pointed out in my discussion board to my video, which I posted earlier today, they said, why don't we look at this from the point of view that for Trump, he needs desperately some kind of the off-ramp, not only in the relations with Russia, but somehow to scrap those tariffs, which he failed miserably. I mean, it's humiliating. Brazil told him to go pound sand. Brazil then concluded a potential deal with India, and India told Trump to pound sand. China altogether said, we don't care, So the BRICS suddenly, they say Putin marshaled BRICS. No, it's not just because Putin, but because it's BRICS. Okay, people, these are large countries with their definite national interests. And actually, Modi's retort was humiliating. He stated we have been, in the friendly relations with Russia for a long time, and India will continue to do what is in India's interests. So we do essentially, it's humiliating. So his tariffs now, okay, he can impose whatever the tariffs. They continue to do what they're doing in terms of BRICS, and suddenly BRICS looks more like not just economic, but what? Political organization. And economically, BRICS dwarfs combined West. This is what many people still do not understand. They still believe in this garbage. And there's now videos like, is China's GDP larger than American 3 times? If not 3 times, twice for sure. So, and most of this data, which is provided by those financial institutions, is garbage. Okay, it's garbage. International Monetary Fund, it's all crap, basically. So, and when you look at that, and then you have the Iran now playing into this equation, suddenly, what are you going to do? Well, you can do all kinds of nasty things, but it doesn't change the outcome. And if Vladimir Putin, I think Trump senses it. If he is not complete moron, okay, let's put it this way, and he definitely has more brains than Biden, Sullivan, and Blinken combined, but we'll see. I mean, what can I say? I mean, this is different world. United States is not even, nobody's quakes in their boots from the United States, and so there you go.
I think that the United States has reached its limits in terms of putting pressure on other countries, and you can just see it in the frustration in the administration. I don't know if you saw this Scott Bessent talking to Fox News and the way that he's talking about Europeans.
Yeah, that's what I was told. Yeah, I mean, he wants to own European money. That's again, why does he put his wife out there and she will be owned by many others? It's just the same thing. Makes no difference. It's like, oh yeah, Germany, UK, you have currency reserves, they are ours. It's like, really? Dude, you do this in America, coming to the house, and saying, oh yeah, it's my house, and well, you're gonna be shot, and police will come in, remove the corpse, and say, good for you, dude. That's how it should be done. But yeah, this is the guy who seriously thinks that he is not viewed as a clown, which he is. He's a nincompoop. He's a complete moron. Basically, his statements, all those tariffs, the guy has no clue. But this is what essentially U.S. administration, starting from essentially from Clinton, have been about. There are a bunch of their nobodies with the degrees in nothing and credentialed idiots, and they eventually drove the country, the United States, into the ground. That's what it is. So you can thank your local evangelical church and AIPAC people, and of course all those MBAs and sociology, basically credentialed idiots from the Ivy League. They did it to the country. They did it, and that's what it is.
Here is what he said about Europeans, Andrei.
It is time for our European counterparts to put up or shut up. They keep saying, oh, the U.S. should do this, U.S. should do that. President Trump has put secondary sanctions or secondary tariffs on India because of their consumption of Russian oil. And the Europeans haven't done that yet. As a matter of fact, the Europeans are buying the refined products that the Indian refiners make. So we need some coordination here. So if we are going to have a united front, which will give President Trump maximum leverage, then I think that our European counterparts need to do their part.
Yeah, I think that shows that how they have reached their limitation
Well, the guy is a
and
complete
they
idiot.
cannot do anything.
The guy is a complete idiot. He was probably one of the also feeding Trump his ego about tariffs. He failed miserably because he's an idiot. And it's Dunning-Kruger effect. You cannot explain to the idiot that he's an idiot because he's an idiot. You cannot explain to the average American government employee that he's a moron because most of them are morons. And not all, but most are. They are just little cogs with their cretinistic, so-called education. There's no education in the humanities field anymore in the United States. It is all fairy tales created by, I don't know, So, and when you look at that, yeah, these are the guys who essentially exposed the United States completely for what it is. Militarily, the United States is a paper tiger, and it has been manifestly demonstrated, during the special military operation. And that is why people constantly ask me a question: what Trump can do? Nothing. Nothing. The only thing Trump can do is actually roll back these idiotic policies, which hurt the United States orders of magnitude more than they ever hurt Russia, or for that matter, India, or for that matter, Brazil, for that matter, China. They do not understand how the world operates outside because they are ignorant. The people who graduate Ivy League with the humanities degrees on the countries, they can even speak some languages like China or Chinese or Russian or what have you, they still do not understand how things work. America doesn't have diplomacy as a craft, statecraft. It doesn't exist. American diplomat is the butt of the joke all over, basically the civilized world. They can pretend, they can do their consular services, issue visas and things like that. This is diplomacy, important one, but it's just very small part of it. But you look attentively at people who represent today the American diplomatic corps, look at them. Good Lord. This is not even, what can I say? I mean, total degeneracy. I mean, I already stated, it's fait accompli. It's not like, oh, it's happening. It already happened. United States and combined West have been driven into the ground. And now United States faces the, essentially economic catastrophe. And then suddenly they do not understand that you cannot print yourself money out of the situation because the real wealth, it hasn't been created in the United States in ages. While other countries, they produce real wealth, tangible wealth, the energy, things of this nature. And suddenly, what you have the real estate bubbles, you have so-called green energy bubble, complete catastrophe. Only imbeciles with degrees in literature could have come up with this thing. And so, yeah, there you go. And of course, Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood kind of still keeps their hoi polloi a little bit, sedated. But even Hollywood now, it's basically a bunch of the pedophiles and cretins, So that's what it is. The country is completely, it's just complete mess. And what can I say? So in order for you to have any kind of say, you have to bring to the table something which your counterpart, your other side says, oh yeah, it's tangible. They have it. They're leading it. And to discuss what? And I am on a record. And I repeat, you can read my lips. And there is nobody who will even dare to challenge this, even from U.S. military, that United States lost the arms race, not just simply lost it, it's by a knockout. It's unprecedented. But yeah, sure. Let Trump impress people a bit. I don't know where they find those guys. They are completely ignorant cretins, basically. They don't know what to do. They never did.
Is he going to ask Vladimir Putin about the ceasefire, about the way that Donald Trump wants a ceasefire together with Europeans, and how is that going to be? How do you find the response, the answer from the Russian president in terms of ceasefire?
I mean, it had been answered by Russian foreign ministry non-stop in the last 72 hours. There's no ceasefire. There could be only ceasefire in terms of the humanitarian reasons, so-called air, for some like short term, like Russians declared this before. It's like 72-hour ceasefire or 48-hour ceasefire, especially to collect the bodies primarily of the rotting bodies of the armed forces of Ukraine on the tactical in the tactical zones, because obviously it's a huge sanitary issue. When your corpses are beginning to rot, first you cannot be there; it smells horribly, and then of course there is a huge danger of infectious diseases and things like that. So Russians did it before, so they might go and do it again. But the point is, special military operation continues, and Russia doesn't talk to Europe. Russians know who Europeans are. They know what Ukraine is. They know what is behind them. So you cannot talk to those people. You cannot talk to Merz or Macron, and that is why, as my good friend Byron King wrote some piece, if you look attentively at this, United States and Russia are actually joined by the hip by Arctic, and if many people forget that geographically, United States and Russia are literally neighbors. You go to Chukotka and Nome, you can walk there, once it's frozen. Obviously it's going to take you half a day or day to do it, but it's just, it's Bering Strait. And then, you look across from the Diomede Islands, you look at the United States. And United States, people from the United States look at that's why Alaska is so critical. It's not only former Russian territory, it is also geographically there. There's a lot of symbolism, and when you go and look attentively actually at Mr. Gilpin, the first governor of the state of Colorado, he was dreaming of making Denver the basically transcontinental capital by building this railroad from Denver, Colorado through Alaska, through Bering Strait. Obviously, it was a fantastic idea. Even today, it's practically impossible. But that was the whole idea. Can you imagine, this railway from Denver, Colorado through, Anchorage to great Russian Siberian cities and things like that? It might yet come to fruition, who knows? But United States and Russia, economically, they will always have a separate discussion. Then Russians don't even have discussions with Europeans. There's nothing to talk to, and they are fanatical Russophobes, and Europe is over, basically. So, but in the economic front, there is a lot to be gained, actually, especially by the United States. Don't forget, the United States cannot refill, so to speak, its budget. It's a bloated budget. The tax base is shrinking, and the situation obviously, is horrible. For you, you can only print money if you want to, quantitative easing, whatever. And suddenly, if you can get any kind of the parts in the development of the Arctic, which only Russia can provide for the United States, because the United States has no icebreaker fleet. The United States has no ability to do what Russians do in Arctic. The number of resources, the amount, the volume of the resources in Arctic is gigantic, from oil to gas to rare earth, whatever. It's just colossal. So the technologies are there. Russians are waiting. Let's see what, Russians offered the United States, the Krasnoyarsk enrichment facilities, to invest $15 billion and then have the access to, by the way, rare earth minerals and things like that. Obviously, the United States declined. Okay. Russia said, okay, we'll do it ourselves, and they are doing it themselves. But still, there are many projects which could be done to the great benefit of both countries. And will they discuss it? Obviously, with people like Besant, the guy is moron, okay? Let's put it this way. But Silvanov going to be talking to him probably about the issue of the financial transactions and banking sector which is critical for not for BRICS. BRICS is doing it itself, but itself, they transfer money within the BRICS completely on their own. But it will be about the situation what has happened to those $300 billion of frozen assets. And if Mr. Besant will not get the message, well, too bad. Russians don't care. They're just saying we have the list of conditions which have been reiterated for the last 38 months now, and said, there you go, take it or leave it.
What are the immediate decisions on the part of the United States, in your opinion, in terms of the aid going to Ukraine? Are they going to ask, I'm talking about Russians, are they going to ask the United States just stop sending weapons? Or maybe if they have weapons in Europe, not let your weapon get in the hand of Ukrainians, or providing Ukrainians with intelligence? We know the Starlink is providing them with the internet connection to be used by drones, which is, I think Donald Trump can do something about it. And do you think that they're going to talk about these details? These are important if you want to put an end to the conflict.
Well,
somewhere.
Again, Trump already stated, surprisingly, oh yeah, if nothing comes out of it, we are washing our hands. Hey, dude, Russia told you to wash off your hands for since the start of the special military operation. And not only to Trump, to Biden, and they never got the message, but Russians are on record. It doesn't matter what. First, there's nothing, they cannot supply anything. United States has no industrial capability to support such kind of war. Simple as that. And Europeans even more so, because it's just the paper tigers. It's a bunch of the, chihuahuas. So if Trump does this, sure, good. Then other doors may open, But yeah, it doesn't matter. It's, again, what can possibly the United States give Ukraine? God, there will be very many Russians, in the missile forces saying, oh yeah, please give it to us, because obviously we love to have those million rubles, just being millions of rubles as the bonuses. So, and what? Can they give nuclear weapons to Ukraine? Obviously, it's out of the question. And if United States cannot do this, Europe is not even in the same league. They have nothing. They admitted it. They had this meeting. The only thing they can do is just bark from underneath the bench in the room where the big guys discuss things. They are nobodies. And this is what I constantly say for many years. Europe is not the subject of the international relations. It is object. And it's going to be handled by the United States as United States deems necessary. They can go out there and pretend that they matter. They don't. Not a single country in Europe matters in the long run and in the larger scheme of things. And that's probably the inevitable outcome of what Europe did. And there is a price to pay. And as I wrote, and many people say that Europe achieved what even 10 years ago would have been unthinkable. Russian society hates Europe, hates as a whole. Overwhelming majority of Russians hate Europe. And with this comes they hate Europeans, many of them. So, and they achieved that, great achievement. So let them go, basically now fade out or fade away from the world scene. And this is probably the natural and organic outcome of the people who basically, they were they were the source of the two most destructive world wars in the human history. These were Europeans. And, saying there is a price to pay. Nothing happens in this world without consequences. And these are consequences on the historical scale. The only thing they were saved by the on the other one part, the Soviet Union liberated from Nazism. They didn't like it, so okay, sure, the Russians should have allowed, I guess basically the Poles to be exterminated by Germans and others, but yeah, they remember now all those nasty Ruskies, so, and Sure, but United States provided the basically help, aid, support for Europe in a sense by events of the immediate post-World War II time period, especially with the Berlin Lift and all that kind of thing, Marshall Plan and things of this nature, thus extending the existence of this Europe for another, well, not really 80, about 80 years, 70 years, let's put it this way. Now Europe is coming down to its natural state, the state of the all kinds of the localities, they called countries now, which are going to be at each other's throats, and if they kill each other, let them. There is no common European, how to say it, European ethnicity of you. Well, I mean, racially and ethnically, obviously, there is Europe. There are Europeans, white people of European descent, like me, for example. Those Portuguese, Spaniards, or Germans. But the point is, Europe has to go back to where it was. And I don't know, I mean, Westphalian states, let them fight each other, as they always did. Let them exterminate each other. Never again the foot of Russian soldier or the single drop of blood of Russian soldier will be on the European soil. And that's where they're coming. And so European Union will be essentially dissolved. United States will consume whatever it will decide to consume, and the businesses will be running out of Europe, somewhere to China. We know Germans are trying to do something, and that's it. So it's going to be second world or third world hellhole, and somebody has to think now how to remove the safe treasures of Louvre and other art galleries from Europe, because so what can I say? That's what it is. It's a sad end, but they wanted it. They worked since 19th century incessantly. They just never got anything straightened out. And now that United States itself United States has resources. It has the chance. Europe doesn't.
And they don't know how to live, how to survive without the United States.
No,
they have no friend, Andrei.
They have nobody. They have this is the continent, which is the peninsula to the Eurasian landmass, which is dwarfed economically, territorially, and resources by the Eurasian landmass. And they have some things left, like Airbus, for example. Okay, yeah, they probably will try to extend it, as much as possible. But for example, German economy is finished. And fact is, they might not even get those LNGs, which United States promised to provide them 3 times the price of what they were getting natural gas from Russia. Well, when you have Borrell, this alcoholic, who goes out and admits, and I quote, that European prosperity was based since 1970s on the Soviet and Russian energy supplies. They killed it, so there you go. It's your problems. You are the guys who, and many people now begin to, blame United States. No, Europe since 1960s was given pretty much serious, leverage in the international relations. Remember Ostpolitik by Willy Brandt and Germans, who said, and they told Reagan at some point of time to go and screw himself. We need Russian gas, we need cooperation. And there was a huge degree of the economic activity between Soviet Union and West Germany. They didn't care about, United States or troops or anything. No, it came with European peoples. It came with Germans who degenerated into this, basically combination of cattle, brainwashed cattle, and they never recovered from the utter defeat and crash of the World War II by the Red Army. So, and yeah, look at them now. And they were never friends of Russia, but at least they had enough rational thinking to understand what's good for them. Same goes for French. French, for some reason, still think that they are so irresistible. Paris is a crap hole, rat-ridden, and so it's not real yeah, it's disgusting, smells with urine and things like that. Same goes pretty much for all of those people. The only people who are, they are also cocks, and they are also, this lefty ideas, not lefty really, it's neoliberal ideas, all LGBTQ and all that things, the Spain. But at least they maintain degree of the Catholic culture there, so it's not as easy, to do this to Spaniards. But again, I mean, nobody likes Russians, and Russians, for the first time, they don't care about Europeans. If Europe dies tomorrow from hunger, Russians are not going to interfere. It's over. And Russia turned itself completely towards the east, and this gigantic conglomerate of the, not emerging, they already emerged. Well, India is emerging. It's huge. It is huge economy by volume, but obviously India needs to go this path, so to speak, what China did by lifting the hundreds of millions of people from poverty. And India is yet to achieve this, but they are developing too. And when you look attentively at this now, put together Russian, Chinese, and Indian and Brazilian economists together, it's not even serious, when you look attentively. And again, don't forget, they inflate completely, constantly those numbers. Europeans constantly lie about their economies. They are fine. Well, Netherlands, I believe Germany does it too. They count now as GDP, prostitution and drug trade. So this is everything you need to know about those people. They are not normal people. So not all of them. I'm by no means trying to, paint with a broad brush over everybody. But you know what? Russians know now for sure that Germans hate Russian gods. And good, Russians got rid of those illusions and delusions about being, family of European people. There's not a family, they're a pedophile central. That's what it is there. So there's not a single, with the exception of Viktor Orban, there's not a single normal politician there. There's none. They're just
unbelievable.
Fico, yeah, that's it. But again, these are small countries. They are important countries, no doubt about it, but they are small and they are close to Russia, geographically. And there is a history. Hungarians don't like Russians. Russians don't care. But at least they have this, they have this political leader who tries to preserve the, sanity in the country. So Russians don't care if they are liked anymore. That's the thing. You want to go do business, come in. It's the same what's happening with the former Soviet Union. People do not understand. The bunch of the cretins from American think tanks, that normal people do not work there. They still think that Putin wants to restore Soviet Union. Putin and Russians work hard not to restore Soviet Union again, and especially keep those, the valuable specialists from Caucasus or from those stans away from Russia. You know why? Russians live extremely well. They are beginning to live way better than Europe. And so they don't need those people, those gastarbeiters, so to speak. Those people, they were, evicting Russians from their stance and, in 1990s under the applause of the international, which is Western community. Russians don't want them. And that's what is happening right now. But again, you cannot explain to, as I already stated, average graduate of the Ivy League in some kind of whatever the hell they teach there, which is like, so the real situation, the real balance of things, the factors which play into this. And as the result, I read my lips. You can get me any kind of the so-called Russia expert from the United States, from CIA. Yeah, sure. That will be fun to talk to those people. They have no freaking clue. Okay. So, and United States and combined West wanted it, they got it. And now they're facing reality. And we'll see tomorrow what is going to happen, So there will be obviously hysteria. I know that it's reported now Anchorage is stuffed with all kinds of people. Of course, when you looked at the flight radar today, there's a lot of planes from Russia to Anchorage. I'm talking a lot. Huge numbers, like yellow stream. I don't know. There were obviously all kinds of the FSB and FSO planes, and obviously Putin IL-96. There's a number of IL-96s, Tu-214, and probably Air Force assets like Su-35, so maybe Su-57s also flying there, just in case, who knows. But yeah, I know the American side is trying to do the best, and that is nice, actually. Again, you know what? It's nice. It's about freaking time. There should be some kind of talk, At least Trump, if we get some kind of neutral result, Trump can check it box for himself, like, oh, you see, I was kind of able to accomplish this meeting and all that. And now, as Atlantic reported, he was begging Putin to meet him. And so we know that. We knew that. Putin knows that. And he couldn't also resist anymore because evidently he was begging him to kind of, off-ramp, okay? Off-ramp. Simple as that. The reality is catching up.
I would love to see the press conference, the joint press conference after.
That would be interesting. That would be absolutely interesting. Yeah, and that is why I laugh at people who just get this idiotic idea. Putin is walking into the trap. Trap of what? What is trap? It's like the guy just won the war. I mean, and they know that what is happening there. Trap and what? Some PR trap? Who cares? As Lavrov stated 3 years ago, you can look it up. I believe it was during one of the SPIF, St. Petersburg International Economic Forums. Some CNN, scumbag or whatever, was asking, "Oh, Mr. Lavrov, comment on this," and something. Like he turns around, look down from the stage to her, and says, "I'm not going to answer this question. Write whatever you want. You're going to lie anyway." That was, I quote you, Lavrov. So it was just, there you go. So in this case, anybody who still follows the mainstream media, I do, because it's what I do, professionally. But anybody who follows your straight establishment media, they have their head checked, because obviously these are propaganda machine. And again, as I already stated, I will repeat it again. You get any mainstream journalist from the United States or the West in the same room, make sure you have the course of antibiotics. You're going to be infected with some disease, because this is how filthy those people are. And in human terms, no integrity, no humanity, no soul. Prostitutes, literally, they will sleep and do whatever it is, doesn't matter. And so in this case, obviously we have to expect a complete, it will be a shitstorm, pardon my French, after that. So that's what it's going to be in Western media.
Andrei, we've learned that Azerbaijan is talking about sending weapons to Ukraine and Russia. Who are these people? I don't know why they don't get the lesson. They don't understand what's going on, because look at Ukraine, look at Georgia before Ukraine. Why do you need to do that? Do you think that it was somehow some ridiculous talk that came out of the mouth?
No. It's very simple. It's very clear. It's British. Aliyev's clan money are in London, and they, by either, Ilham Aliyev is not completely stupid. He's definitely an educated man, and but yeah, it's Aliyev's clan. Their money are in London, and they, for some reason, thought that the money which they have in London are theirs. No. They are London money, and so they got them by gonads and stated to tell them to do what the stupidity which he did. And obviously, Azerbaijan economically it's non-entity in the sense of weapons or something like that. Yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. And but the point is, he definitely managed to destroy Russian-Azerbaijani relations, and as the result, Russian special services, FSB, and investigative committee, suddenly Russians began to crush Azeri diaspora in Russia. And of course, Azeri diaspora, there are many wonderful Azerbaijani people, my friends who live in Russia. They are just wonderful people. They are Russian citizens. They are patriots of Russia. And so, no, I'm talking about that Aliyev's clan, part of their huge fortune was being streamed from Russia by those people who sell those other main export of Azerbaijan other than oil and gas, which is, of course, what? Vegetables and fruits. And Azeri Mafia, that's what it was, and is being broken as we speak, was controlling all pretty much what is called wholesale markets in bazaars, essentially, in Russia. Huge amount of money, selling those from anything from cucumbers to tomatoes to what have you. And this is a fortune. And then Mr. Aliyev now is crying, foul that Russians destroyed basically this grip of this, diaspora. And as a result, some critical figures, really big time figures of the organized crime groups have been arrested, and now they will be imprisoned and not even sent back to Azerbaijan. And so that's what is happening. And yeah, a lot of drama, but Azerbaijan is non-entity. Obviously, Iran is not happy with all that, but it's pathetic attempts of London to pretend that they still matter. Yeah, they found the basically country which is together with Armenia, which is also non-entity. It doesn't have actual real economy to start with. So, and yeah, if Turks go in, that will be the end of it, So, but yeah, let them play it. Russians don't care about Caucasus anymore. I mean, the Russian Caucasus, they care. But whatever they do, that's what many people don't understand. They think like Russians need to go and grab this thing and spend their resources fighting for some Kazakhstan or no, Kazakhstan is a little bit different story, but for some Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, no. Russians have the, for example, 201st military base. They're only for the control from the, of Afghanistan. Other than that, if tomorrow Turkmenistan becomes who knows what, they will elect the Pinocchio of becoming their president or whatever. Who cares? Russians do not care. That's the whole point. They don't understand this cabal of especially this clownish British so-called pretenders that they are some kind of, intelligence special, MI6. They're good at killing children and doing false flags, but they think that they know what is happening. They don't. They still think in the 1970s. They still think in this paradigm. They are incapable of changing it because probably lack of culture. They are, especially Washington, D.C., highly uncultured place, very not well read, very badly educated, because this is what you get for the degree meals in Ivy Leagues. And so when you take a look at those people, they're done. The only thing they understand is when there is a pain, and the pain is being applied to them. And now they sense humiliation of the combined West and its decline. And yeah, and then suddenly we have, and again, look at Besson. To say things like he's saying, the guy's an idiot. He's certified idiot, okay? But can Trump find anybody else who is competent? He could have. The problem is, does he even listen to those people who will try to, pop his bubble? I don't know.
The problem is that those people who understand the situation, they don't have any lobby behind them to support them.
No. There are people who understand this, and you know some of those people, but they will not be allowed. You remember what happened to Danny Davis, He was nominated for the operations for the Tulsi Gabbard's org. Yeah, so hey, go to evangelical church, find some, pardon my French, batshit crazy pastor who preaches from the Schofield abomination. Get him the position. That's what it is. That's what Congress is. And when people begin to talk, it's circus. Okay, it's like people say, "Oh yeah, but military-industrial complex." So, U.S. military-industrial complex is pathetic. The people who run it is a bunch of morons who watch too much Hollywood. You can take a look at American weapons and production and the development and the operational concepts which they try developing. This is freaking kindergarten. Those people have no clue about anything. American generals in Russia now is the meme. It's like, oh yeah, American general. That means moron who doesn't understand the first thing. And they continue to recycle those, neocons, imbeciles, who pretend to be some, experts. They are not. They're experts in nothing. The only thing they know is how to make money for themselves prostitute themselves. They never won anything. They are hurting because of their sour grapes, professional envy and jealousy with all those, big talking, big mouths, of all this NCOs. I've been, in Afghanistan. Wow, impress me. Have you been under the 152 millimeter shells exploding next to you? How about, experiencing Iskander arrival? They don't even know what it is.
Andrei, before wrapping up, we know that Netanyahu said he's gonna attack Iran even without the United States. Do you think that Israel, with the current situation that they're in, they're gonna be able to fight directly with Iran without the United States?
No, they have nothing. They just Iran will decimate the rest of the Israel, and they will have not 44,000 claims. They will have 400,000 claims on the destroyed property and their military installations. Iran can easily just turn Israel into the wasteland. The only defensive posture and defensive, the pivot of the all defensive, so to speak, policy of Israel is called U.S. Congress and U.S. presidents. They own everybody in Washington. They own. United States is not sovereign country. So that's the whole point. Trump, it will be given the last off-ramp. If not, United States is a slap beach of Israel. And United States already stained itself forever, and it will not be able to wash it off anymore. It supported the genocide in Gaza. And what is the horrible, huge number of the Americans, so-called Americans, and this abomination called the Christian Zionists, they supported this. America, I'm talking to you. This is not the country I used to know. It is absolute abomination. And the United States is part of genocide of civilians in Gaza. Period. At least in during the Vietnam War, there was this domino theory. There was indeed people who believed this BS, about Soviet Union and all that. But now it's with especially modern, basically means of communications, internet, alternative media. That's it. United States, you are stained. Your army is stained. So there you go. There's a national shame what is happening. And you know what? If this continues, which it could continue, Israel will cease to exist eventually. Probably Israeli society may survive this. Evidently, they don't have any consciousness in them. They are basically fanatics. They are fanatics, and so what can I say? Well, so are those 57, they say, so-called Christian. They're not Christian. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Christian Zionists and evangelical churches who produce the genocide. They emanate, they radiate genocide. And this is what has to be understood. America, you created this too, and this cannot continue like this anymore, and it will not. Because in the end, another matter that Arabs has to shut up and don't even, try to pretend any kind of their international agency. They're a bunch of cowards and corrupt people who never supported actually what they needed to do to support for all whatever happened there. It's unbelievable. But yes, the world as we knew it is over. We do not live in the 20th century anymore. This is the new world order. This is the new multipolar world. And if if the United States wants to continue to lose the remnants of its sovereignty and humiliate itself and lick the boot of the AIPAC and those genocidal maniacs from Congress, let it be. You know what? This country will disintegrate too, because eventually nothing happens in this world without the consequences. And if people in the United States do not understand the moral burden they took upon themselves, and they continue to believe this abomination, they are not Christians. Again, these are not Christians. Many people do not understand. So, but what can I say? You know what? I'm just the only one guy who says things which I think are true. And that's the only thing I can do now.
Thank you so much, Andrei, for being with us today. I hope we can get something positive
Well, we'll see.
Meeting. Yeah, we would love to have positive outcome.
All right. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrei. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.